Hello and welcome to the Built in the Bronx podcast. I am your host, Maximilian Hill, and today we have a very special guest. Jordan Lisnow is a student at the University of Southern California. He's an entrepreneur. He is a co-founder of Dorm Dash, an Eagle Scout, and he's a boxer. This guy does it all. Jordan, thank you for coming on the Built in the Bronx podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, you're actually here in New York, right?
I'm in New Jersey
New
currently.
Jersey. Very good, very good. So, lot of possible topics we could take this. But tell me about your current venture, Dorm Dash.
Yeah, so DormDash is an educational technology marketplace where students can go to provide educational services to other students that need it, across the country. We wanted to create sort of a place where students felt comfortable going and receiving help from other peers, where studies had shown that students actually obtained and learned more from their peers as opposed to going to professors, or adults for their tutoring. So we create the opportunity for students to receive compensation as well as provide their expertise to students that need the assistance.
That's sounds like a great idea. I know here at Lehman College in the Bronx, our students are right in the middle of finals and internship season. So,
Yep,
um, definitely, I think there's a lot of demand for something like this. And then if you could put some money in people's pockets, even better.
absolutely.
Really great. So, we met recently at a meetup, and then I think you shared with me that you are actually looking to hire a full stack engineer. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I'm looking for a full stack developer for my other company, which is a little bit slower in progression than DormDash. This is a clean tech company, and we're looking to revolutionize the automated home energy scoring landscape. So we're creating an algorithm and a platform where the user can go in, input their address, and from simply nothing but their address, we pull all of the information on the home's energy efficiency, and come up with basically a home energy audit, which is useful for tax credits through the Inflation Reduction Act. So we're currently in the MVP stage. We need a little bit further assistance with the back-end development as well as hosting it on a basic, front-end platform.
Okay, very exciting. I think a lot of our students here in the Bronx would be very interested. So, tell me about the tech stack that you're working with for this venture.
Yeah, so it's HTML as well as Python. So, nothing out of the ordinary. It's basic coding languages. We're sort of building upon the framework that's already established through the government standards that we're using as our sort of backbone to frame out our algorithm and our scoring system. So, nothing out of the ordinary, HTML and Python.
Okay. Um, what's the engineering culture like? Is it hierarchical? Is it flat?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not really technical, but my we currently have a developer who's a graduate student at my university, and he's pretty much carrying the entire load of the development. So any and all help that we can get would be, extremely useful and helpful to both the developer as well as myself and my co-founder.
Okay. Um, I guess the following question would be a question for your co-founder. What's your favorite part about working at this company?
Yeah, so I mean, this has been my vision for well over 2 years now. From the initial thought that came out of a basic meeting with my co-founder to doing customer research to doing product market fit research, to reaching out to potential partners in pilot programs, and watching this thing start to sort of formulate into what it is now, and we're not even done yet. So, I've enjoyed this process, and I've enjoyed all the people that I've met so far, and learned an immense amount of material, both with the technical side as well as the clean tech space. It's been a great learning process, and I'm excited to watch this thing really take off.
So in the work world, there's been like seismic changes over the past several years,
Yep.
mainly brought upon by COVID, right? And then we had the Great Resignation, right? Now you had workers had the hammer for a little while. Looks like pendulum's shifting back. into the hands of the companies and employers. So one of the controversial topics is remote work, right?
Mhm.
What is your stance on remote work versus hybrid work versus in person?
Yeah, big fan of working from home and virtual work. I mean, especially in this space where we have people that are just sitting behind a computer and developing. I mean, they could be developing at the beach for all I care, as long as the work
As long
is
as it gets
being
done.
done.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. No, that's good to know. So a little bit more about your background. You have very impressive background. So
Thank you.
you were actually an Eagle Scout, right?
I
So
was, yeah.
that
Still am.
to me is very impressive. I think as a former Boy Scout who never even sniffed, I didn't even come close to achieving the Eagle Scout rank, but I do know um, the level of work that goes into something like that. So tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was sort of the first, realization in my life of project management and all that it entails. And it was such a great learning experience and super thankful for that opportunity. Obviously, apart from all of the learning about, sustainability and living on your own and health and physical fitness and all that stuff, there's this project that has to be completed where you need to do a service project to benefit your town or municipality. And from point A to point Z, I wasn't able to do any of the actual work. So I had to go and meet with the mayor of my town and sit in the town hall meetings to, discuss some possible ideas for the project. And then that was point A, coming up with the actual project idea. And then I had to fundraise for the actual materials. I had to gather a group of people that could help me put it together. And that whole process took about 5 or 6 months. On the actual project day, there was 15 or 20 people that helped me out with the project, and I was just directing people, what to do, showing them step by step what needs to be done. And I was essentially a project manager from, at 16 and 17 years old. That really taught me great soft skills as well as managing time, managing people, and managing money. Which leads me to my next point of I've also been sort of entrepreneurial my whole life. So learning that at 16 and actually putting it into practice was phenomenal experience. Super thankful for that, and it's always a great talking point.
Yes, I think that getting experience from an early age is good. I know my first job was in sales. I was selling sneakers at a Foot Action mall
Yep,
here in New York. So that was really, I guess, my first entrepreneurial endeavor. So it's always good to get a good start, no matter the pursuit.
I agree.
Tell me a little bit about volunteering at Center State Hospital during COVID.
Yeah, so that was obviously that was a rough time for everybody in this country and around the world. But I really wanted to do something that can help out the people that needed it the most. So I went in there. My aunt was actually a nurse at this hospital at the time. So I went in and helped them with basic things. If they needed like bedding changed, I would do the bedding change. Even if they needed food, I'd run to the store, bring them food, basically help out in any way that I can so that they can do what they do best, and that's save lives. So, great experience. And, it was during a super troubling time for these people. So, I just wanted to help out in any way that I could.
Yeah, COVID was a stressful time for a lot of people, especially if you were a student. I feel like because it was such a disruptor in I guess the way that we learn, and
Mhm.
also um, higher education wasn't that's like serious change because
Yeah.
you know the COVID mandates and the social distancing was such a challenge for
Yeah.
everyone, in on college campuses, but also in industry and the corporate world.
Mhm.
So tell me about what were some of the challenges that you faced as a student at USC during the pandemic?
Yeah, so I caught the very, very tail end of it when I started at USC. It was mostly during high school where I really faced like the blunt end of COVID. And it was rough. I mean, being home, not being able to go out and see my friends. And there really wasn't a whole lot of learning. It was, the teachers would, put out like a video or two a day. But I'm actually extremely grateful for that time because that's when I really got to develop myself personally. I started getting into literature, started reading personal finance books. I really honed in on my trading. I started, day trading, which was a great experience, and I really just started getting creative in terms of product ideas and what I can do to be successful and set myself up for a good future in the later years to come.
Very good. You mentioned books. So one of the things that we always ask our guests here, what is a book that has influenced you greatly and that you would recommend to your fellow classmates slash graduates?
Yeah, so there's really two books that come to mind. One in terms of personal finance, and that's actually, no, there's one that I want to mention first. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People. That was a great book of just how to, come across as personable, to get your point across, and to be an effective listener as well as an effective speaker. Learning how to interact with people seems very easy on the surface, but when it comes down to it, it's actually extremely complex, and
Yes.
understanding the psychology behind that, and how to go in as a confident individual, whether you actually know what you're talking about or not, really plays a big difference in the business world, in the entrepreneur world, and just being a normal person, coming across as personable and knowledgeable is extremely important. The other book in terms of financial literacy is Richest Man in Babylon. That was a phenomenal book. I've probably read that 3 or 4 times now. It goes over super basic principles, but it really puts it into perspective how important saving is, how important the compounding effect is, how important allocating funds and keeping track of your funds and your spending and income really is. So that really laid sort of the groundwork and the foundation for my understanding of the financial world.
Very good. I think recently I listened to a talk given by a guy named Professor Scott Galloway, he's an NYU professor.
Mhm.
He encourages talking about money. And
Yep.
he said, like, there's a taboo in this country. We're not supposed to talk about money. And he said, who does that favor? He said, it favors the people who are already wealthy, right? So if
Exactly. Yep.
you're trying to build from nothing, um, they call it information asymmetry, right?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, I encourage that whenever I work with, a client or a student, that we should definitely be more open about money.
I agree.
So really good books. If you could have a giant billboard that was overlooking the Cross Bronx Expressway, 10 words or less, what would it say?
Don't be afraid to fail. I think that that was something that I was very scared about getting into the entrepreneurial space. But from all of these successful, super, super successful, even Fortune 500 CEOs and co-founders and founders, that was sort of the common denominator between everybody is, not everyone's first idea is going to become, the next big thing. Not everyone's first product is going to be great. Not everyone's first 10 companies are going to succeed, but eventually learning and failing quickly will get you to the point where you understand what not to do, and you take those lessons and you grow and you develop and you actually become successful in whatever space that you're enduring. So yeah, I would say, don't be afraid to fail. And, I continue to live by that. And, maybe my companies won't succeed, but I certainly learned an incredible amount throughout this process. And, I will definitely take that with me into my next future ventures.
So that leads me to my next question. How has a failure set you up for later success?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only way to succeed is to fail. But before that, because failing is the greatest lesson that you could possibly learn. If you were to succeed at everything that you do, you really wouldn't be learning along the process. You would just be, you know, taking as you go. So failing and understanding why you failed, I think that's just as important. Understanding why you failed and learning from your mistakes and developing is crucial to future success.
I think it's a painful process to really, you know, when you're struggling, the venture doesn't work out, you lose a job, business doesn't work, relationship, right? You really have to do the hard self-analysis about, why did this happen? And I guess, what was my role in it, right? How did I contribute to it, right?
Yeah,
And that's,
yeah,
painful process, but definitely vital if you want to grow in your career and in your life, for sure.
absolutely. Yeah, it's super
Um,
tough pill to swallow. Yeah.
So I know a lot of our students, Janice and I were just talking recently. It's really stressful time for a lot of our students because there's a lot on the line. You're talking graduation, you're talking internships, and which jobs all lead to eventually wealth and money, right?
Yep.
When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, do you have any practices to kind of bring you back to, a calm state, a better
Yeah.
place?
My absolute favorite thing to do is get in the gym. I am a huge lifter, big boxer, so getting out there and turning my phone off and just working out is the greatest meditation that I can recommend to anybody. That's sort of been my safe space for the last few years. And not only does it treat your body right and teaches you discipline, it also, it's very good for your mental strength as well as your overall mental well-being. I love, weight and resistance training, boxing, as you mentioned. So that's a great escape. It's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to meet like-minded people,
Yeah.
and very driven people. So I would 100% recommend, working out.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of boxing. I think it's one of the ultimate in accountability, right? Because
Mhm.
there's not a team sport, right? It's only you and
Yep.
you versus the other guy. And if you really put in the work and you push yourself to the limit and you did everything you could, you know, then you really can't be ashamed of anything. Sometimes you lose to a better
Yeah.
guy, right?
Yeah.
But usually I think if you put yourself through the work, usually you'll win. So
Yeah, I agree.
I know in my experience, some of the smartest, most successful people that I know were wrestlers. Something about these like individual pursuits, uh,
Hmm.
that produced a lot of super successful adults. So,
Yeah.
Janissa, do you have any questions for Jordan?
Uh, Yeah, I just had one about Dorm Dash.
Yep.
I was wondering, I have two questions. Well, one, then a follow-up. Did you only have access for the individuals at your college at first?
Yeah, so Dorm Dash launched nationwide. Right now we're currently trying to white label it to universities, meaning that we will give them access to the platform. They will put their logo and their branding on it, and we will do everything transactionally on our end. So it doesn't cost the university any money, and it doesn't cost us any money, nor do we charge them for anything. So we want to get it out there to as many universities as possible, and obviously interact cross country, through different universities and students, that they can help each other out cross country.
So my follow-up for that would be, how was the interactions with the people you're working with, your co-founders, for expanding it to worldwide? Because I know you started only at your college and opened it up.
Yeah, yeah. So that was and it sort of still is a work in progress. Obviously, everybody's goal is to scale it as large as possible, but there is, certain meticulous steps that we have to take to scale it very carefully. So we didn't want to go to 100 universities at first. That would be too much for us to even handle on our infrastructure. So we needed to plan out which universities we were going to approach, and then, making sure that we have the capabilities on our back end and our front end to be able to host that many users. But now that we have that fully working, we have the ability to go to 50 or 100 big universities and say, we're willing to take 100, 200, 500,000 students on our platform and have that work and integrate seamlessly. So, it was a process, but, we're still searching to try to get as many users as possible on the platform.
Yeah, that sounds like a really exciting time. Really exciting.
Yeah,
So
it's been great.
I do have a question. I guess tell me about your hiring process. What is it that you look for? I know some places value skills above everything. I think
Mhm.
the smartest places value values and ethics,
Yep.
because I personally think skills can be taught, but you tell me.
Yeah, so for Dorm Dash in particular, we're really looking for marketing help. So we're looking for someone who's very personable, and really it really boils down to their soft skills, how they interact with others, how they market themselves, how they market a potential company to potential clients, being other universities. On the flip side, Clean Rate, which is the clean tech company of mine, my clean tech company, We're really looking for development help as well as, research help and someone that can possibly even take on a CTO role. So that comes down to obviously technical capabilities as well as their interpersonal skills. So it's a really best of both worlds. And, I think again, it really comes down to how you can come across, how you can present yourself. If you could present yourself as being extremely personable and knowledgeable, obviously, as you mentioned, those technical skills can be taught and developed. But
Yeah.
you can't really teach hard work and determination.
Yeah. I think this is a question I like to ask hiring managers and CEOs. What's the most common mistake that you see job applicants make throughout the hiring process?
So I think that sometimes, and I was obviously I was a victim of this as well. Sometimes students that are not as qualified when it comes down to technicals apply for roles that are a little bit over their head. So, for example, if there was an undergraduate student who hadn't fully, understood full stack development and they applied for a CTO role, for example, where that's going to be one of the most important and crucial skills is full stack development. We really can't have that learning curve. So, I would say if you completely are an expert in something, that's something you should apply for, and that's something that you should be confident in applying for. But I think that understanding the learning curve that you may fall in, and applying for something a little bit deeper than you could swim in might be a potential issue.
Yeah. No, that's it's a weird balance between stretch goals, right? And then like going too far, right?
Mhm.
Because I've been in, I remember the one time I got promoted and then I thought my gut was telling me that I wasn't ready for it. But then everyone told me, oh, you have to take it. You have to take it. It actually turned out that no one wanted the job. And that was the reason
Yeah.
why they were telling me. So you always have to figure out why you're getting
Yeah.
the feedback that you're getting. And stretch goals are nice, but you don't want to drown for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's all that I've got for you. Janice, do you have anything for Jordan?
No.
All right. Well, Jordan, I want to thank you for coming on the Built in the Bronx podcast. Really excited to see your growth, both professionally and personally, and hope to have you on back as a guest in the future.
I'd love to. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, Jordan.